Dr Scott Arthur.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I want to thank the Secretary of State for opening the debate. I think it's the most interesting since we debated buses here, actually. It's fantastic. So I'm proud to call Edinburgh my home, and I love that tourists come from all over the world to see the city. However, I'm often ashamed of what they encounter on arrival, particularly the potholes which litter the city, and it feels like particularly in Edinburgh South West. And it's not just Edinburgh. Scotland's roads are in a horrendous state, with over 400,000 potholes reported to local authorities since 2021. The state of our roads, as we heard earlier, is a great visual way of understanding local government finances. What we see in our roads is replicated in our schools and in our social care. And there's particular issues in Edinburgh, as I mentioned earlier. It receives the lowest per capita funding of any council in Scotland. Absolutely shameful for a capital city to be treated in that way. I have to acknowledge, though, that since Labour took control of the city in 2022, we have made real efforts to improve our roads. I spoke to the current transport convener, Councillor Stephen Jenkinson, who happens to be my election agent last year, so thanks to him, who informed me that Edinburgh's independently assessed road condition indicator has improved by 4.5% in the last year, the highest ever improvement in a single year. Of course, this is just a start, and it's what people see when they step out their house that really matters. The maintenance list for the current year was published just last week, pulled together by an excellent council officer called Sean Gilchrist, if we're praising council officers this evening. And I was pleased to see that amongst the 500,000 square metres of roads and footpaths that we resurfaced, there was many that were raised by Edinburgh South West constituents. And I also have to say we have a pothole pro machine, but we call it a pothole killer in Edinburgh, and I think it tops the league table. It's filled 22,000 square metres of potholes. It's been busy. So the UK Government has created a dedicated pothole repair fund for councils south of the border. Currently standing at 1.6 billion, 500 million of that I think is new money. So tens of millions of pounds of money have made their way to Scotland to fill potholes via the Barnett consequentials. This was handed to Scottish Government ministers. But they've set up no similar fund. Instead, they just blame councils for potholes. John Swinney, the First Minister, says that councils have enough money already to fix their roads, despite, as we heard earlier from my colleague from Glasgow South West, the current national backlog being somewhere between 2.5 billion and 3 billion. And it's not just the cost of filling the potholes. Cycling UK estimate that across the UK, one cyclist dies every week due to a pothole. And so the cost of that is immeasurable. So enough is enough. Scotland's pothole crisis can't continue. The SNP government must show some level of ambition, the same level of ambition as the UK government when it comes to potholes. And I'm disappointed there's no SNP members here this evening to answer that. Before I conclude, however, Madam Deputy Speaker, I do want to address something even more important than the state of our roads, and it's not buses, it's the state of our pavements. In many cases, pavement conditions are worse than what we see with our roads, and I was really pleased that the Secretary of State for Transport mentioned pavements in an introduction, and I hope that the Shadow Minister does so in his summing up, because I didn't hear him speak in his introduction about it. If we are serious about creating a more active and more equal nation, we must discuss pavement conditions every time we talk about road conditions. There is an easy and low-cost way the government could take. The government could improve our footpaths, give local authorities the power to introduce a pavement parking ban. A complete ban in Edinburgh last year has transformed the city and will lead to better quality pavements over time. I hope towns and cities across England will soon have the same powers. Thank you.
Catherine Atkinson.